Thank you very much, Tom. I'm on the air right at the moment. Can you hold the line just a second? I'm talking to Tom Johnston, the press secretary for Lyndon Johnson, who has reported that the 36th President of the United States died this afternoon in a ambulance plane on the way to San Antonio, where he was taken after being stricken at his ranch, the LBJ Ranch in Johnson City, Texas. He was stricken at 3:40 p.m. Central Standard Time, 4:40 Eastern Standard Time. 3 agents who were at the scene, who are permanently attached to the ranch to protect the president, went to his immediate aid, gave him all emergency aid they could, put him in a plane, I suppose, Tom, one of the president's own planes. Colonel George Granahan was the man who proclaimed the president dead upon arrival at Brooke Army General Hospital at San Antonio. Mrs. Johnson was notified of the events at her office in Austin and flew immediately to San Antonio. And Tom Johnston, no relation, the president's news secretary, has just told me that from Austin. Any other details, Tom? All right, thank you very much, Tom, and we'll, of course, be keeping in touch with you. Thank you. Tom Johnson tells me from Austin that details, of course, will be forthcoming. There are none yet for the funeral arrangements for President Johnson. Repeating, President Johnson, the 36th President of the United States, who served from the time of President Kennedy's assassination in 1963 until 1969, when President Nixon succeeded him, has died. He died of a heart attack. He had been suffering from heart ailments for some time. He'd had 2 serious previous heart attacks, one as recently as a couple of months ago. He had been back at his ranch, though, and seemed to be in reasonably good health in recent weeks. He'd been up and around. He had not been bedridden in any way, and he was stricken this afternoon at 3:40 this afternoon. He died shortly thereafter, apparently, despite the best efforts of 3 Secret Service men at the scene who gave him every emergency aid they could. Well, returning to the peace story this afternoon, the peace that President Johnson tried unsuccessfully to get in Vietnam. Immediately after his arrival in Paris, the presidential aide, Henry Kissinger, went to the residence of the South Vietnamese foreign minister, and they conferred, the subject of their conference not immediately revealed. All the talk of peace today could not obscure the sounds of war, fierce fighting in a rubber plantation 40 miles northwest of Saigon. There, the South Vietnamese, backed by heavy American airstrikes, claimed to have beaten back a North Vietnamese threat to Saigon. But Radio Hanoi insists it was the South Vietnamese who were badly shot up. The 2 battalions were decimated, 700 South Vietnamese killed or captured. And one wounded South Vietnamese commander in retreat seemed to bear that out, saying his unit fell apart. I'll be back in a minute with our report on the energy crisis.